Hello, I'm Michael from Whole Spirit Activism. As an evangelist, I regularly get to speak with atheists, Muslims, New Agers, people that aren't Christians and who think differently than me. I meet them every week when I'm out evangelizing, and to get equipped I study a lot of apologetic resources. I watch debates between Christians and atheists, Christians and Muslims, and so on. And especially, of course, when it comes to debates with atheists, we usually use different arguments for the existence of God, such as the cosmological arguments of various sorts, which deals with the origin and cause of the universe, teleological arguments such as the fine-tuning of the universe, or the moral argument, which says that there is no objective reference point to morality if God doesn't exist. I've actually made a video about this called 7 Reasons Why God Exists. It's half an hour long, and you can watch that if you're interested in more of those arguments. And another argument that I bring up in that video is the miraculous argument for God's existence. That is, because miracles exist, God has to exist. Now, interestingly, in many of the debates that I watch and in many of the apologetic resources that I've listened to, the miraculous argument is not often used. The cosmological, teleological and moral argument, and sometimes the ontological argument as well, even though that's a bit weird to many people, are the main focus, but the miraculous argument is quite absent. Now, that's not, I think, because it's a bad argument, nor is it because it is recent. On the contrary, the miraculous argument, I would say, is one of the most used argument in the Bible. It has commonly been used throughout church history when arguing not just with atheists, but also a variant of the miraculous argument, which is to show why Christianity is the true religion compared to other religion and worldviews. And it's used today a lot, so many people actually convert to Christianity because of miracles. So in this video I want to shortly introduce what this argument is, and I actually think that God wants me to write a book on this where I will expand and develop my thoughts. What I'm thinking about making this video is just a brief summary, so I won't actually go into several of the issues that I raise here. I just want to mention some points that I want to make when introducing this argument. So the argument goes like this. Premise 1, if miracles occur, God exists. Premise 2, miracles occur and therefore God exists. So that's the argument, and I briefly want to explain both the two premises and the conclusion. And as you may know, in a deductive argument such as this, if the two premises are true, the conclusion has to be true. That is, God has to exist. If it is true that the occurrence of miracles signifies his existence or proves his existence, and that miracles occur. So if we start with the first premise, there are a few objections that I can think of. Some may say, which God? And that's actually not the point of the argument, just as the cosmological argument, which simply states that the universe has a cause. It doesn't dig into, the particular Christian doctrines. It has actually been used by Muslims and was developed by Muslims and so on. So this argument is really just arguing for God, and then to find which God or which religion is true, you have to use other arguments. This argument is merely to show God's existence. There are a few other objections that I can come up with against the first premise. What if there are atheist miracles? What if you can show that miracles occur but God isn't the cause of them? What if certain New Age beliefs are true? Some New Ages are actually atheists. They don't believe in God. They may believe in a force or energies and spirits, but they don't refer to it as God. And I would then argue that New Age at the core is irrational. And of course this argument is based on logic. And New Age is very problematic because it is impossible to find a doctrine in New Age. It is self-contradicting in many various ways. And when it comes to this case, I would say that if you can show that there are spirits and that there are supernatural forces impacting us and responding to prayer, those spirits, like the universe itself, would have a cause, a greater cause. There would be a super spirit, a god, which actually is the origin of supernatural beings just as natural beings. So a form of cosmological arguments applied to the realm of the supernatural is what I would use there. Also, the religious context of a miracle is very important. If you can show that miracles occur in response to prayer and in combination with prophetic messages, then it's very reasonable that the God that is being prayed to is actually the cause of it. Now, one objection could be, what if the miracles that you experience in your religion are actually deceptive by Satan? And then there's another religion like Islam or Hinduism or what have you that have the true miracles, and the miracles you experience are just satanic. And then I would use yet another argument, which is the argument of power encounters and measuring power. And then I would argue that the miracles that we see in Christianity are far superior than any other major or minor religion. And as you can tell, there's a lot to say there, but I will actually go on, and if you're interested, I'll make a new video explaining what I mean there. Alright, second premise, miracles occur. Now in my last video I showcased Craig Keener's work, but I will do it again because it's fun. I have them close to my head when I'm sleeping. So Craig Keener's work is a very good support for the second premise that miracles occur, and of course he primarily uses eyewitness testimonies and argues that these cannot be easily refuted, but he also showcases several scientifically and medically verified healings, and the works of Rex Gardner or Candy Gunther Brown are also digging into that, and Elijah Stevens is now making a movie, a film, a documentary about medically verified healings that you can find on his website and Facebook page, Simply Kingdom. There's a lot being done right now in mapping the existence of miracles, and in our postmodern world, I guess, you start to doubt the presumptions that many earlier scientists have had and philosophers, which just straight out deny the existence of the supernatural without actually checking with what people are experiencing. So I would say that medically verified healings are a fact, and scientifically verified miracles are a fact. There are things that science cannot explain that occur to people after you pray for them. Now, a common objection to that is that this must be a natural process which we don't yet understand. Just because science cannot explain it today doesn't mean that it cannot explain tomorrow, or even if science never can explain it, maybe it is just a natural process that us humans don't recognize. And I would say that's a clear-cut science of the gaps argument. When there's something you cannot explain, you simply assume that there has to be a natural cause even though you cannot prove it. And I would say that the theistic explanation to what's happening is more probable due, again, to the religious context. And I will also showcase combo miracles, which is something that I'm actually writing about in my upcoming book, Charismactivism. By a combo miracle, I talk about, for example, a healing combined with a prophetic word or a prophecy. And there are many cases, even in the Western world, of this just during the last 40 years that have been mapped. For example, in the Vineyard movement, it has been going on. So these examples, I would say, really support the the second premise's main idea, that miracles occur and that actually they are supernaturally caused. So based on that, the conclusion is that God exists. And I think that the reason that this argument hasn't been used so much in apologetics is that apologetics sort of rose out from cessationist Calvinism and Reformed theology and evangelical theology. But during just the last 40 or 50 years, when it comes to the third wave of the charismatic movement, there has been a shift so that more and more evangelicals are accepting that miracles occur even today. They're not just part of the biblical time. They didn't cease with the apostles. They do happen today. And so that's even why Gary Habermas, who is a famous apologist, who is teaching at Liberty University, and his main focus is on the resurrection, he has started to argue for God's existence with the miraculous argument for God's existence, referring to Craig Keener's work, for example. So I think that more and more apologists will start to use this argument, and if I can contribute in helping to think and formulate this argument, that will be a blessing. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless you.